En este momento, A la Fama con Gerardo Salinas. Entrevistas y buena información con gente importante de tu comunidad. Quizá no los has visto en la televisión, pero juegan un papel importante en tu vecindario. A la Fama con Gerardo Salinas. Adelante, Gerardo. El escenario es tuyo.
Hola, 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 hola. Saludos para todas, para todos. Un abrazo fuerte donde quiera que nos estén escuchando. Sí, hoy jueves, un día bendito. Como cada jueves les digo, es un día bendito hoy y mañana, a cada momento que podemos vivir, que podemos respirar, que podemos ser testigos de un nuevo día. Y los saludo en cualquier rincón que nos estén sintonizando. Como siempre, el agradecimiento, ya sea aquí en Chicago, en cualquiera de sus suburbios, también en cualquier parte de Estados Unidos, California, Texas, Nueva York, nuestro México lindo y querido, desde Michoacán, desde Guanajuato, desde cualquier rincón de la República Mexicana. Un abrazo, y en cualquier parte donde el Internet llega. El Internet, una herramienta mundial. Así de que un abrazo para ustedes. El día de hoy tengo aquí en los estudios de la radiola26.com, de stereodj.com y de radionet.tv a un gran invitado, a quien para mí es un honor tenerlo aquí en los estudios. Es un hombre que por muchísimos años ha trabajado en la comunidad aquí de Chicago, de Illinois, sirviendo a la comunidad, trabajando con su comunidad de su distrito. Un hombre el cual ocupa un cargo público en el gobierno como representante estatal aquí del estado de Illinois. A Daniel Burke, representante estatal del Distrito 1, para que se ubiquen un poquito más, el Distrito 1 aquí al sur de Chicago. Vamos a dar la bienvenida. La entrevista va a ser mayormente en inglés, algunas pausas las diré yo en español, alguna información, pero sabemos que hay mucha gente que nos escucha y que habla inglés, que son English speakers, como también tenemos Spanish speakers y bilingual people. Así de que I'm going to say welcome to Representative Daniel Burke to our studio. Thank you for being here with us this day. And again, it's a great honor to having you here today in our studio. So welcome, Mr. Burke, Representative Burke. Thank you for being here with us. How you doing?
Gracias, Gerardo.
Muchas gracias.
Buenos días.
Yes, buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, depend where people are around the world. You know, we and Europe or Middle East is good morning. Chicago, all depend on where we at, because what time are we listening this program. Also, we go share the video on YouTube and on all these social networks. So again, thank you for being here with us. And as I was saying in Spanish, being a politician, working for the community here in the state of Illinois for many, many years. First, tell us a little bit about you, where you're born, and what made you to go to the politicians' world. Like, what inspired you, right, to become a politician, to become a state rep, and where you're born?
Sure. Well, thanks again, Geraldo. I was born in the city of Chicago, actually not too far from this radio station.
Oh, wow.
52nd and Sangamon. Oh, okay. And I come from a Catholic church background, Visitation Parish, which was at 55th and Peoria. And our home was at 52nd and Sangamon. And when you ask how I became involved in government and politics in particular,
yes,
my father was the alderman of the 14th Ward. And currently my older brother is alderman of the 14th Ward. In fact, he is the longest serving alderman in the city of Chicago. I believe he's at 47 years.
Wow, yes.
Right now. And I don't expect to beat his record in terms of years of service, but surprisingly, and I'm often surprised, that I've been in the state legislature for 25 years. So I was elected in 1991.
1991, 25 years.
So this coming January, I'll be celebrating, if you want to call it that, 25 years in the state legislature. And I am an assistant majority leader in our House of Representatives, and I'm also the chairman of the House Executive Committee, which is a committee that considers all subjects if they're not in a particular category.
Okay. Yeah, working in these committees, because for those who don't know, like you mentioned, House Representative, you have different committees where you're member of some committees working for particular issues or topics in 25 years. Wow, time go fast, and I'm sure that during these 25 years, many things have changed.
Oh, most definitely, and in particular, my district has changed pretty dramatically over that period of time. When I was first elected, I represented a constituency that was 87% African American. My next 10 years, I represented a constituency that was 87% Latino.
Wow.
Now, currently, in my third, the districts are reorganized every 10 years in the state of Illinois. It's called reapportionment.
Okay.
So at this particular time, my district consists of 67% Latino. So it is a majority Latino district, and I indeed am a member of the Illinois Latino Caucus, which hopes to consider issues that affect the Latino community in particular.
So you're a member of the Latino Caucus?
Yes, I would probably say one of the founding members when we created the Latino Caucus back about 10 years ago.
Awesome. For those people who may be not very familiar with districts, what area exactly do you cover? Or maybe someone has a question about he is my state representative. Exactly from what streets here in the south side of Chicago do you cover? It's under your district.
Well, when people ask me, I generally say that I represent pretty much the Midway Airport area. But in particular, my northern boundary is the Stevenson Expressway. My eastern boundary is Wood Street, not far from the studio. And my western boundary is Neva. And my southern boundary is approximately 63rd Street. But as you understand, given that you're such an expert on political issues, Geraldo, it's not a box configuration. So there are areas that come in and come out. Sometimes these maps look like a piece of a puzzle.
Yes, the distribution. When you said every 10 years, when after the census, the distribution of the map of the districts. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard to understand exactly. Like maybe someone is living in, like me, I live by Midway Airport, and I have the same alderman now that is coming from the 26th Street. So there's so many. Sometimes you don't get it. Why, if I live here, why I have someone who's covering another area? So. But well, it's another topic about district, the map of the Chicago district. Okay. But as I mentioned, many things have changed. We know that as you mentioned, you're a member of the Latino Caucus, working with the Latinos a lot. I know, you've been working for us and with us, and when I say us, I'm talking about Latino community, in terms of introducing bills to eventually become a law to support our needs, to represent what we need, our concerns. And I know that you work a lot with the matricula. For us Latinos, we here in the state of Illinois, we know what the matricula means, our ID, so we can have access or identification for many services or things that we need. So tell us a little bit about this part, how you work and support with the matricula.
Well, it's interesting, Geraldo. Very often, I think citizens don't realize how their laws are created in the United States, in particular the state of Illinois. It's not that individual legislators come up with ideas on their own. Everyone that's elected to represent a constituency in the state legislature in Springfield, our capital, we have to engage with our community. We have to hear from our constituents in terms of what they need and what it is that we can do in creating laws that would assist them in having a better experience in our community. Better life, better services, better whatever it is that touches people's experience every day. So we go back a long way, Geraldo, and I often reflect on our first experience when you called and asked if you could come and have an appointment with me.
Exactly.
And I said, why, certainly. And I don't think I inquired as to what it was that you were concerned with at the time. So when you arrived with several of your colleagues from the Center for People with Disabilities, what is that again?
Exactly. It's a center, progress center for people with disabilities.
Right. And you converged on my office, as I say, with about 15 people. Yes. And we all were kind of shocked.
Yes.
And I said, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
And everyone came in, if they were in wheelchairs or on walkers, yes, or were sight impaired or whatever the case may have been. And it was a very interesting meeting that we had. And from that point, I started to visit the center. We were over there several times and became well acquainted with a lot of your associates at that organization, and discovered, some of these very important issues that people with disabilities are confronted with every day. So as I sit in Springfield and consider either introducing legislation or voting on bills, legislation that is presented, I often think of that first experience with you, and to know how important it is that government be responsive to those who have disabilities in our society.
Exactly. Disability is a very important topic that we need the support from the state, government, federal level, in terms, as you mentioned, to provide services, programs that we need, that our community need to become independent, to have access to job, to education. So yes, I remember when I called your office that I was taking this legislator internship in this center, progress center. My first impression was, I'm gonna call his office, but probably they're never going to call me back, right? It was my first impression. When I called your office and your secretary answered, and she said, I'm going to take a message, and I explained her the purpose of my phone call. And 2 hours later, I have a phone call from your office, and I said, I think it's her. And I answered, right? I was excited. My surprise was the person who was calling me were you. I said, wow, because what we hear in the Latino community is very familiar with these topics, because in Mexico, the situation with government, how arrogant they are, how these people feel that they superiors, that they that they don't listen to us, they belong to a higher class, and they rich, we poor. And so we come with this way of thinking, with this mentality to the United States. So when I was thinking about contact a state representative, I said, well, I'm gonna try, but probably I'm not gonna get anything, right? So when you call me, when we met at your office, when you said yes, you can come to my office, what day, what time, we scheduled an appointment. I come to your office with, as you said, 25 people, 15 people. We talk. My friends, they were like, wow, are you serious? He told you that? he told you we can go? Like, they were like, could we believe you? Because this is not something very familiar or very common. The state representative answer the phone, say, yes, come to my office, what time, what day, and I go be here for you. Yes, it was true. We went to your office, you were there, we talked for like 2 hours, I don't remember. My ride came and we were still in the meeting. I was very surprised, and I'm very grateful that you there, and this is my opinion, when we need you, and you're not there just when you need us. So this is something that made me having you here today to talk to our community, that when people need you, when you need to listen us, you take your time to answer the phone, you do what your job demand. No, and I'm very grateful for that. And yes, it's the story about how we met.
Huh. Well, it's funny when you talk about, when you asked about my history, and I suggested that my father was an alderman, my brother's an alderman. I come from a family that is service oriented. It's almost like the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. You kind of inherit certain traits that would reflect, what your history is, what your parents did, what profession your father was engaged in. So I always admired people who were in public service, and I had a very fortunate, early life experience having my father, who was a very, I would say, prominent member of the Chicago City Council. And I never knew anything different. My father was an alderman, and very often I thought everybody's father was an alderman and had the engagement with the community, but that was not the case, as I discovered as I matured. But I always had an admiration for people who presented themselves for public service, and I take that very seriously. In fact, in my office in Springfield, I have a painting of my father on the wall, and I often look at it and think, how would you feel about what I have done in my public life? And 25 years later, he hasn't jumped off the wall yet to choke me. So I guess things are going okay.
Yes, I'm sure they're going okay.
And I keep getting reelected. Just as you know, about 4 years ago, I had the first opponent in my career in the legislature. And fortunately, I was able to win the election, and actually by a very small margin. So it was what we call a squeaker. I won by 400 votes, and it was quite a different experience. But at this stage of the game, as I say, 25 years in this business, in this life, has been rewarding and sometimes disappointing when people come with a particular idea that they insist is very important for them and certainly for the society, and you discover that you have to persuade your colleagues. And in the House of Representatives in Illinois, we have 118 members representing very diverse communities. We have farmers, we have a large number of lawyers, individuals that are required to represent the concerns and needs of their immediate constituency, their people. And it's my job, coming from the south side of Chicago, to persuade them that we have needs, and I, in turn, would have to be receptive to their concerns and their needs, which are very, very different, for the most part, from what an inner city community would need. As you might imagine, people who live in a rural community have an entirely different type of life experience than what we have in a very populated city like Chicago.
Exactly. So let me go a little bit in Spanish. Como les mencioné al principio del programa, el día de hoy tenemos al representante Daniel Burke, de aquí del estado de Illinois, del Distrito 1, como él ya nos mencionó, el cual cubre el área de aquí del sur de Chicago. Y lo tenemos aquí en los estudios, platicando sobre varias leyes que han introducido, cómo ha estado trabajando para la comunidad, escuchando las necesidades de ustedes, quienes le llaman a la oficina, quienes lo visitan, para presentarle algún problema, alguna iniciativa, alguna preocupación. La importancia de que nuestros legisladores escuchen a nuestra comunidad, se tomen el tiempo de sentarse y hablar con ellos. Así de que continuamos con esta entrevista en inglés. As you mentioned, the need, your constituents, people of your district, has not to come to your office to talk about it. And as I mentioned, the opportunity to have the matricula, to be able to get this identification, it's something that many people today are very feel that they have an ID, an identity, where they can go and to the bank, to any place, and they can have this matricula, this state ID, or well, it's not a state ID, but this is this identification, so they can have an identity. As I mentioned, it was something that we, or me as Latino, had this great news about this opportunity.
Certainly, Geraldo, as you know, I always have considered, the people in my community my neighbors, and as you certainly understand, we have so many individuals in our community that are, as we call, undocumented.
Yes.
And they have needs as well. We have to be able to provide that they can work, they can provide for their families, and as you understand, in particular, the Latino community, a very great regard for family, and they want to ensure that their kids have a better life than they had themselves. And they work very, very hard. And of all things, the recent change in our state legislation has been to provide people who are not documented with the opportunity to gain driver's licenses.
Yes, it's another topic. State license for those people who are undocumented, for those people who have to go every morning to work, for those parents who have to take their children to school, to go to the doctor, whatever it's their case, and finally they allow to get their driver license under the state, and yes, be able to take the driver exam, the test, and yes, and be driving on the streets of Chicago, under the state of Illinois. And to me, this is a really good change, because now they can have a insurance, right? So you have an accident with someone who is driving and who was not having a license, and now they have the license. They're learning how to drive, because many people sometimes don't drive too good, and we know that. So the opportunity to take this exam, to have a license, to have a car insurance. So from this law, many good things come.
Absolutely, and that was one of my arguments to my colleagues that wouldn't necessarily be inclined to vote in favor of a bill that would benefit what they call undocumented individuals. The parts of our state don't have the same concerns and needs that we have in the inner city, as I said, in Chicago. So my argument was that why would we preclude individuals from being trained to drive properly and to be insured? To me, it was a public safety issue. Most importantly, and in that fashion, I think we were able to persuade those that would not necessarily be immediately affected by individuals that don't have citizenship to gain a driver's license. So we were able to, through a lot of effort, persuade the legislature that this was a very necessary change in our law, that individuals should be given the opportunity to drive, to have a license, and to be insured, again, as a overall public safety measure.
Exactly. And now people getting their license, driver license, driving, feeling much secure, safety, and everybody who's driving in our roads I think it's a great change. And this is one of the good laws that you've been working on supporting. Also, another one is this new law, AED. Can you tell us about this AED, what it means, and how that benefit our people, our community, our state?
Yes, as you know from our friendship, Geraldo, you know that I'm pretty passionate about this issue of providing AEDs in our society. An AED means an automatic external defibrillator, which is an electronic device that would provide life-saving measures to individuals who suffer cardiac arrest. And through these many years, I introduced the first legislation back in 1997, And honestly, you would think that I was trying to introduce a weapon of mass destruction back in the days when my opponents were insisting, oh, you could electrocute people and they're going to be using this to kill folks. And I said that's quite the opposite of what occurs, because you can't kill someone who's already dead. And this device has saved countless lives through these many years. And every year, we enhance some of the measures that would provide that AEDs are available to individuals who suffer cardiac arrest. So if you go to a health club in the city of Chicago or anywhere in the state of Illinois today, you will very easily see an AED mounted on the wall that would be available to staff that would come to the aid of a victim who suffers cardiac arrest. At the airports, you cannot miss the placement of AEDs every 200 feet. Any place that there is physical exercise or a number of people who visit that location regularly, we're talking about groups of people, and these devices, again, have saved countless lives through these many years. And as I say, each year, someone might present another concern or another issue that would ask us to enhance legislation that would make it easier for AEDs to be available, again, for individuals who suffer cardiac arrest.
Exactly. The opportunity, as you said, someone who almost, who was dying, who almost dead, to have this support. And as you say, someone who is dying, you cannot kill that person anymore. Like, they can have a good opportunity to continue, surviving. And yeah, I think it's a great change. It's a great opportunity, to implement. And again, another good law, another good support to our community.
Latest enhancement to that, just 2 years ago, there was a family that called me, not from my community, from the St. Charles area, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Exactly.
Whose 17-year-old daughter, Lauren Lehman, collapsed at a drill practice exercise at her high school. And very ironically, her father, George Lehman, who was the one that approached me, was a paramedic as his profession. And when he discovered that his daughter had collapsed, and it happened to be at a time of very busy traffic, it was a rush hour in that community, and when, in fact, they had an AED at the school, and no one was able to use it. The coaches, the athletic director, the teachers, anyone on the premises at that school, they were afraid to use the device to administer to Lauren, who had collapsed from cardiac arrest. And literally, you only have 4 minutes to come to the aid of a victim of cardiac arrest. And again, when they called 911, busy traffic, unfortunately, the fire service arrived far too late to save this 17-year-old young lady who had collapsed on the gym floor. So their goal was to, again, provide better placement of the devices and ask that anyone who is involved with athletics at the school be trained in the use of an AED. So today, and the students of every school be trained in the use of the AED. So today in the state of Illinois, you can be assured that someone in that school, if not many, will be able to come to the aid of a victim with the use of an automatic external defibrillator and be comfortable about it because they've been trained to use the device.
Exactly. Like in this case, if someone would know how to use this machine, she will have a big opportunity, right, to survive. But because no one was able or had no idea how to use this machine, and plus firefighters coming late, yeah, the end of this story is terrible. So sometimes these things could have a better result, and yes. So thank you again for supporting that. And many other laws. One other one they want to talk is the Illinois Dream Act. this Illinois Dream Act for those students who are undocumented, who are not eligible to FAFSA, to financial aid, or to many of the state or federal scholarships, and they want to continue with their education, higher education, going to college, to university. So just recently, 2 years ago, I think, when this passed, and now having this opportunity to apply for some scholarships or create this funding, this program for those who are not eligible for financial aid.
Right, and as you know, we've had this conversation many times, and there are candidates for president that are talking about, let's say, eliminating undocumented people from our society. And as you and I know, there are millions and millions of people in our United States that do not have legal status, let's say, to live here.
Exactly.
And for those to suggest that these individuals be removed, be sent back to their country of origin, it's absurd to even suggest something like that. The cost of that activity would be unbelievably expensive. The fact is, as I said earlier, I consider, people in my community my neighbors. People have come here one way or another, but they are all, I think, looking for opportunities to be in a position to afford a better life for themselves and for their kids. And let's face it, there's no one in the United States that is not an immigrant, whether it have been from their grandparents or great-grandparents, but we didn't just land here. People strive to get to the United States, and they come here for good reason. They come because they know this is a country of freedom. This is a country that will provide them opportunities to work hard and to succeed in life. And I must say to your listeners that you are one of those individuals that I think has not reached the American dream at this immediate point, but you are certainly on your way.
Exactly.
And I think, when is your graduation now from university?
From university, my expectations is on a year from today. So by December of 2016.
Right. And for all those young people that are home sitting on their couch, possibly listening to this radio station, get off of your butt.
Yes.
Follow Geraldo's lead.
Yes.
Do you know how difficult and what a struggle it is for this young man to travel every day, not having sight? And for those, again, that are sitting at home on their couch or playing the video games or doing whatever they're doing, think about Geraldo and maybe try going to the bus one day with your eyes closed and see how far you get.
Yes, my dad is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like our engineer said, that sometimes he tried to close his eyes and
Yes.
walk here in the studio, and he cannot reach the door. He cannot find the door.
Believe me, yeah.
Right?
I'm trying already.
So many people in our community, certainly those that are receiving public assistance and so forth, I think it's unfortunately an unfortunate phenomenon that very often people think they deserve to be taken care of, that they be given everything that they need to survive. That is not the whole purpose of public assistance. We want to give people a leg up, an opportunity to succeed, to get an education, to do better for their families, not to let their children run the streets and cause havoc and belong to gangs and sell drugs and confront the police. We want people to be given an opportunity, a chance to do better, and if we have the resources to assist them, the government is happy to do that, because we would hope that they become ultimately very contributing members of our society and certainly not become a part of the criminal justice system.
When we talk about politics, many people, as you mentioned, we sitting on the couch watching TV, just waiting for someone from the government to put a check in our hands. And I respect those people who do that, but I said, don't wait for someone who come and put the food, the money in your hands. Go outside, go out, work for that, find a job, go to school, try to do something, no, and don't sit down and complain about everything that is according to you, listeners or those people who think that everything about politics is negative, is corruption, because what are you doing to stop that, to make a change? Sometimes, and this is something that happened a lot, representative with our Latino community, that is the one that I'm talking about right now, we don't participate during elections. We don't go out because it's snow, because it's hot, because we have we busy with the novelas, right, watching our shows, depend what are we doing, and we don't want to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to go outside, to go out and to give our vote, to participate in elections, those who are citizens and Latino citizens. And we don't want to get informed about what is going on with our state officials, federal officials, and when it comes problems, issues, budget cuts, those centers, programs they support our community. I'm taking this class or this computer class in that particular center for free. And when it comes budget cuts, I'm complaining why I don't have this, why I don't have that, why I'm not able to take advantage of these programs anymore. But something we're missing, something we're not doing, and it's when it comes to elections, to participate, to be able to exercise the right as a citizen that many people has. And it's something that with Latino we see a lot, that we complain very easy because something changed and it's affecting me in a negative way. But what I'm doing to bring a solution, to put a little bit about me, to make that change as for good for me and for those who surround me.
Yeah, it's remarkable, Geraldo. And, you'd probably be, if you were eligible to cast a ballot, to vote, you'd probably be the first one at the polling place.
Yes.
The morning of election.
I will wake up 4 o'clock in the morning.
You probably would. And no matter what it would take, you would make it there. Yeah. And you certainly would be one that would understand who is running for the particular office that you'd be voting for. You'd be the one that would be doing your research to find out about that person that you were going to vote for. And very often in our society, people don't even understand not only what the office is, but the individuals that they are voting for. Sometimes they see a name that looks familiar, or maybe be of their particular ethnic group, and they vote for that person. But literally, it could very well be the worst person that God put on this earth that would be seeking that office. So it's up to the citizen, and this is our most important right in the United States, to be able to elect people to represent us.
And something that this is my opinion, this is only my interpretation, this is my point of view. Sometimes we see someone who is running for alderman, for any public position, and we see this candidate face and we say, oh, it's Latino. Because it's Latino, that means that this person is going to work for me, for my needs, for my concerns, for my problems. And this is not a case. When we voting or electing our representatives, those people who are going to represent our needs, who are going to pass laws to protect us, don't see what color is their faces. No, because if it's because of the color of your face, we will be living in Mexico, not here. Because in Mexico we have many politicians, all 100% of our politicians, of our governors, official electives, are same color, nationality that we are. And why are we here? Because something over there is not going right. There's no opportunity. So we come here, and sometimes here in our community, we said, oh, because this person is Latino, that means that there's a guarantee 100% that if I support this person, is going to take care of my needs. It can be the case, but not necessarily. Don't go just because of that. Do research. Know who is the person that you're electing, that you're going to support. It's not just because it's the same nationality that I am. No, it's more than that. It's what that candidate is proposing, what is his or her ideas or plan, and support that. But just because of the color of the face or what nationality the person is, we can be making a wrong decision.
As I said, Geraldo, when we first started our conversation today, in my 25 years, I've always been one who represented a constituency that did not look like me. I did not look like them. As I said, first 10 years, 87% African American. Second 10 years, 87% Latino. It's been, in very many situations, challenging, but very rewarding to be able to engage with a society that did not look like me, but I've always been one to reach and try to imagine what their circumstances are and to engage with people no matter what their background may be. I'm fortunate that I play the piano, and I'm able to go to, let's say, a missionary Baptist church and sit down at the organ or the piano and participate in service and appreciate and really enjoy the community that I'm engaged with. It's been a great privilege to be able to engage with people who otherwise I would never experience.
Fantastic. We almost finished with the show today, but before we leave, I want to bring this question, this topic, because it's something that is going on today with state budget. Many centers are closed. Many people has concerns, questions about the new budget, concern. What can you tell us about the new budget?
Well, as of yesterday, we were able to, through the negotiations that our leaders had with the governor's office and the governor himself, we have been able to restore funding for centers for domestic violence. Number one, very, very important issue in our communities. Also, the restoration of funding for IHEAP, which is the heating bill assistance for seniors in particular. So there is some movement major to those that are immediately affected by those two items, and there's several others where funding is beginning to become restored. We do not have a budget in the state of Illinois. We are operating piecemeal. I don't necessarily see any immediate resolution to this very, very serious problem that we have, not having a budget. But as of yesterday, there's, I believe, what we could say light at the end of the tunnel, where eventually we are going to succeed in persuading our governor that these social services, these very essential programs be funded properly and do it in an appropriate fashion where the public understands what the budget is. Every institution, organization that provides services will be paid, and they will continue, because it's crucial for certainly my community that has great needs, and throughout the entire state of Illinois, that we have a budget, that we have people that are comfortable knowing that these services are going to continue.
Yes, it's a concern that many people, including me, we have every day. When it's going to be the new budget, what it's going to include, who is going to affect, and so we optimistic that very soon we can have the new budget, and that we could have continue with our programs or services that many people are receiving and that we need for our daily living in different areas, education, many areas.
Yes, indeed. And I think we're probably about ready to conclude, are we not, Geraldo? Pretty
yes,
soon?
we are.
But
and yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, and certainly to your listeners, that Geraldo has been an inspiration to me. And as I consider these issues in our state legislature that affect people with disabilities, I've never not thought about what Geraldo is, what he does, how he is managing. You have been an inspiration, and I think anyone that comes to know you admires you and looks forward to you being a voice to assist our society across the board. You're going to be somebody one day, Geraldo, and I'm sure we're all going to be saying, I know that guy.
Thank you.
It's been a delight to be with you, Geraldo, and certainly I look forward to our continuing friendship, and give my best to your mom and dad and your sisters and that great family on the southwest side that you come from.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your words. I appreciate your time of having you here today. And just one day I go with someone working and helping people, my community. As you're doing that right now. Thank you so much. For those people who maybe wants to talk to you, who maybe have a concern, an idea, a plan, working, because I always said, we could reach our official elected senator, representatives, aldermen. We can work with them. We can bring ideas, not just bring the problem and say, here's my problem. No, bring the problem, but also bring some ideas. What do you think could be the solution to this problem? So for anybody who wants to contact you, go to your office, sit down with you, have a meeting. What is your office locator? If we can have your office phone number, so they can schedule an appointment with you. They can sit down and they can talk about their needs and also bring in some ideas, some solutions.
Yes, certainly. My office is at 2650 West 51st Street, City of Chicago, 60632. My office phone number is 773-471-2299. 773-471-2299. And I'd be delighted to hear from any of your listeners, or certainly anyone in my constituency that wants to reach out to me. I am fortunate that you're able to witness my availability, Geraldo.
Thank
you. It's always a pleasure to engage not only with you, but to all the people that I represent in the 1st District of the state of Illinois. And look forward to doing this again with you someday.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We're concluding. Thank you. Amigos, amigas, hemos llegado al final del programa del día de hoy, a la fama con Gerardo Salinas. Sí, el día de hoy fue un programa en inglés, en el cual hablamos con el representante estatal Daniel Burke, del Distrito 1, aquí del sur de Illinois, quien está trabajando, del sur de Chicago, mejor dicho, aquí en el estado de Illinois, quien a nivel estatal está trabajando, está sirviendo a su comunidad en Springfield, al igual que aquí en Chicago, introduciendo leyes, trabajando en varios comités para el bienestar de su distrito, de aquí del sur de Chicago, que como él lo mencionó, es aquí entre las calles 63, el Expressway, el 55, hacia el oeste, ahí hacia el este, en todo este territorio que él representa. Así de que, como hablé con él en inglés, para aquellos que no entendieron muy bien todo en inglés, que no dominan muy bien el inglés, brevemente les digo, él ha sido uno de los que ha apoyado muchísimo el que la matrícula el día de hoy esté activa, el que podamos tener una matrícula, una identificación. Él ha sido uno de los apoyadores de esta oportunidad que tenemos de la matrícula, al igual que de las licencias temporales para las personas indocumentadas aquí del estado de Illinois, para que podamos tener nuestra licencia. Él ha sido otro de los que ha apoyado muy fuerte esta ley, para que se haya esta propuesta, para que se haya convertido en ley, el tener una licencia de manejar en nuestras manos. Él ha apoyado mucho esto, al igual que a los jóvenes, la educación y muchísimas otras leyes que han beneficiado a nuestra comunidad latina. Así de que por eso es que el día de hoy lo tengo aquí en los estudios, lo tuvimos en vivo, en persona aquí en el estudio, para hablar, para compartir con él sobre todo el trabajo que él ha estado haciendo por su comunidad latina y en general. Así de que un abrazo para todos ustedes. Y como lo dije en inglés, muchas veces es fácil sentarnos y criticar que el mundo de la política es negativo, que hay corrupción, pero no todo es corrupción. Hay gente que en verdad trabaja por nosotros, gente que en verdad se levanta con la misión de servir. El caso, como yo lo conocí a él, que lo contacté por una iniciativa, una preocupación que yo tenía, fui, llamé, hablé a su oficina, me dio la cita, él personalmente me contestó. Fui, hablé con él, le platiqué sobre mi problema, hablamos, para el bienestar de nuestra comunidad. Creamos esa relación de trabajar juntos en nuestra comunidad, y el día de hoy aquí está, dando la cara, apoyando. Y lo mismo le pido a ustedes, trabajen con sus representantes, senadores, concejales, propónganle los problemas que tienen, pero también las soluciones que ustedes creen que serían buenas para solucionar ese problema. Un abrazo, y no se olviden de la importancia de poder registrarnos para votar. Un abrazo, si Dios y la vida quiere, nos escuchamos el próximo jueves. Los dejamos en 2 idiomas, no se desconecten, sigan en sintonía de toda la programación de la radiola26.com.